Everything that you want is possible, right? But it requires a level of self-belief, self-delusion, right? You got this bullshit going around talking about entrepreneurship is the new rat race. Entrepreneurship is not the new rat race. Never was. The new rat race is thinking that you can't have what you say you want. That's the new rat race, right? Everybody talking about, oh, have your dreams, get your dreams. But are you a human being that can carry the weight of your dreams? I don't think you really want what you say you want. And even if you're already successful, right? If you have all the things that you want, you've gotten to a certain place where you feel stable, right? You have to now also note that there's some introspection that needs to be done, because the very platform that you stand on isn't the platform that you want to be on. And we speak about it all the time. When it comes to the money that you have, right? The system that you operate from, all of these things are good for business, but you're dying inside. What the fuck is a view if I can't enjoy the view, right? My personal life is mashed up. My wife is not giving me the sex that I'm looking for. I can't find people that I can connect with because I myself can't connect with myself. What's the point of having all of the access without having the power, without having the power and the authority to wield it? It baffles me. So I went out last night, like I said in the previous video, I went out last night and I'm just observing the power dynamics in the city and seeing how men operate with other men, how men operate with women. And it's honestly pathetic, bro, because you see older dudes with women that they clearly have bought, all right? And they don't know how to wield that energy or that power that they've gotten in business to buy that woman, right? Because that's what's happening, right? Whether you think so or not, you're paying for her attention, you're paying for access to her, when you literally can have that by the energy that you wield, but you don't know how to do it besides the way that you operate for money. And so yesterday, I'm just watching everybody and how they move with each other. Who's the most powerful guy in the room? Who's next to him? Is it his wife or is it some concubine? And more times than not, it was some concubine or some broad that he probably bought, right? Some escort or whatever. And it's honestly pathetic. Dudes wielding black cards and dudes having all this cash and this money but don't know how to deal with women, right? And then I had to ask myself, like, what do you do it for? What do you come here for? And what did you come to the city to do? And what was the motivation behind why you came? Because at the same time, me watching all of this, you have to also think about, you're in the city, the same city as them. So why'd you come? What'd you do it for? Was it for ego? I don't think so. Was it for cleansing the swamp? I'm more leaning towards that side, right? Because even like to watch the coaches and the course sellers and the people who think that being an entrepreneur is cool, but not wielding the power that you have to be an entrepreneur, right? You're just delusional. But in your personal life, you have no body, you don't have the presence, you don't have the wardrobe to speak to the things that you are, right? So I always have to ask myself, like, what do you do it for? And I kind of implore you to do the same thing. If you're doing good in business, right, but you're not doing well in your personal life, or you're doing well in your personal life, but you want to do business, ask yourself, why are you going to jump into business in the first place? Because it's not as pretty as it looks, right? You're going to have long days. You're going to have restless days. You're going to have times where the world comes against you. And again, you're going to have times where you go out and you have to keep that same presence, right? The system and structural understanding of business. And you're going to have to put that in your personal life, because then you'll end up being a dweeb. And you don't want to be a dweeb. You don't want to be a dweeb, right? You want to have access in an authoritative way. Have the access to the women, have the access to the clubs, have the access to the lounges, but not be this beggar. You're never meant to be a beggar. You were meant to actually produce, right? So if you're going to jump into the game of entrepreneurship, make sure that you're doing the introspective work to continue to elevate yourself in the way that you know will get you to the levels that you're looking to get to, along with fulfilling yourself on a soul level. Because the men I see nowadays that are doing very, very well in business, in the city especially, are not becoming the person that they know they desire to be in their personal life. It's only about business. They only do well when the cameras are on them. You take the cameras off for 2 seconds, them motherfuckers crumble. Afraid of themselves almost. Afraid to polarize the room. Afraid to say the outlandish thing. Afraid to step on toes. Afraid to take on the power. Afraid of their authority. Because the Lambos, right? The Lambo, you hear them. The cars, the women, the access is nothing if you have no authority to wield it. That's not power. That's humiliation to me. You walk around if you're some God, but you don't have the power of God, which is odd, which is very odd to me. And no, all of us have the power of God. You wouldn't be able to create if you didn't. You really got to step into the lane of power. You have to. You have to, because you have no choice. What else are you going to do? Are you going to crumble? Right? Think. The realm of men is crippling, right? If you're a man, you feel that crippling pressure to always produce. You feel that crippling pressure to always become, but you don't know how to. And even when you get the money, society's built around power, pussy, and respect, and you've only been able to get the money. So therefore, the money doesn't always translate into power if you don't know how to wield it correctly. So then the women are nothing but a facade because the money is what buys you access to them, right? Not your genuine masculine energy. And then the respect, men don't fear you. You look like a fucking twig. Motherfuckers talking about, oh, I made 100 and something K last month, 250K this month, but you look like a pussy hole, right? Imagine you walk into a room and multiple men looking at you like, I could kill that motherfucker if you walk near me. So therefore, you really don't have the power. It's just a facade. Some introspective work needs to be done because I don't understand. I just don't get it. You gotta think. Are you rounded in all areas? Do you have the power to pussy in the respect that you desire with the money that you have? Or is the money buying you the access? And just because you have the access, you then use it to leverage to get fake power, pussy, and respect. You know, very interesting times we're in, right? It's interesting. But, I want you to understand that you can't have everything as you want, right? And if I were to break it down like this, and you might hear me say it all the time, there's masculine energy and there's feminine chaos, right? So masculine energy is just structure and discipline, and feminine is just the flow and the chaos that comes like water. So all you have to do as a man is become structured enough to hold the abundance, opportunities, cash flow, and women that you desire. Women aren't going to bend to you. Money's not going to bend to you. Opportunities won't bend to you. Abundance won't bend to you if you do not have the capacity to wield it. And those who get the access to money, right, because you've learned the skill of making money in this crazy ass society, good for you, bravo, but you're dying inside and the money only accelerated it. So assess your leaks, right? Masculine structure is like a cup. You got to assess where the leaks are happening. And for you, it's probably easier more than ever because you have the money, you get the money. And so allow the abundance to come because it's, again, flowing like water. So if abundance is coming, right, the water is in the cup, look at the cup. Where are you failing? Where do you slip? Where do you seek stimulation where you should more so be seeking precision and pressure to build you into what you want? Where can you refine your systems? Where can you refine your structure? Where could you operate better with your masculine energy and not just leak all the feminine energy, money, into these things that make it look like you have the masculine structure that you say you have? Coming to Miami actually made me think, right? It's forcing me to think. And because before, when you're a big fish in a small pond, right, you don't necessarily have to think all the time about what's going on around you or how it's operating, because once you get a full grasp of a small pond, you understand what's going on. But when you come into a realm where now energy is so high, the frequency in Brickle is high, right? The money frequency is high. I feel it, I smell it, I can touch it. But at the same time, that money field has a fucking facade. It has a mask on it. And you don't know who's masquerading around like they got it and who isn't, right? The longer I stay here, the more I start to understand and see how certain women act and how certain men act, right? Being at to identify the power players, but the power players more times than not are struggling in their personal life, right? So everyone's going through a facade here. And I think in a small pond, you lose sight of that because it's so easy to understand, right? What's going on in a small pond. You get into a big pond, you're not necessarily the biggest shark here, but what you are an energetic master to understand and see, right? And have the awareness to know what's going on. So I think the superpower here is being able to see all the fuckery that goes on and not fall into its mischief. But it forces me to think a lot. Because again, I've said my weakness has always been networking, right? Because I'm a very direct human. If it's not, why do we need to fake it? If you like me, I like you, let's chat. If we don't necessarily like the energetic vibe between the two of us, let's walk away. But here, it's not the same. It's very interesting, but I digress. We're going to drain the swamp out. One motherfucker at a time. Yo ass over there in that building, I know who the fuck you are. You on top of Sugar, I know who the fuck you are. You across in the SLS, I know who the fuck you are. You in Brickell Heights, I know who the fuck you are. Gotta drain it. One little pussy hole coach at a time. Don't really know where this rant was going, but today I totally had a time to think. Sit, watch, feel the energy. I stayed out all day just to feel it. Just to see what was going on, just to see the power dynamics, see how it works. Very interesting. You gotta love it though. You gotta love it because it's a part of life. It's a part of life. And if you're not an entrepreneur, you should consider it, but only once you understand that you have to have a structure the entire time. You can't just come out into the world thinking that the feminine energy is going to find you and give you what you want. No. It only bends to the masculine structure that you have. And if you have no masculine structure, well, then you're fucked and you won't get what you want, right? Every time you feel like, oh, I'm doing something, but it's not producing. It's not that what you're doing is necessarily wrong in the sense of business, but it's wrong for the structural way that you're operating business from, right? You have to assess and know that masculine energy and feminine energy are the only two that exist. And therefore, if they're the only two that exist, then if you're not getting the cash flow, the abundance, the opportunity, the women that you're looking for, something is structurally wrong. The integrity of your structure is fucked. Reassess, understand it. Take time to sit back, right? And relax. And that also might mean that the capacity and from which your nervous system usually operates from is also flawed. And that you have to sit back and think about that. What part of my nervous system is not comfortable in the energy that I'm trying to take on, which may be business, right? For you entrepreneurs. And for the men that are operating good in their business and getting the money, but not necessarily operating from a sovereign place in their personal life, you also have to understand that your nervous system is being impacted in a way that you may not have thought about, right? Your inability to deal with women, your inability to give them what they're looking for, have sex for a long time, is your inability to hold pressure at a high level. You're good at making money, but you suck at every other area in your life, and instead you lean on the access, like I said before. The access that the money gives you, you use that to get through the door, and that is the quickest way to exploit yourself. Yeah. So again, I think I'm done with this rant, but just introspection. Word of the day. Introspection. Look at yourself from a different lens, see in what ways that you can refine your systems. And if you need help, again, the link is in the description below. You can apply to work with me one-on-one to actually get through and see what's going on and where you need to restructure your life. Consider yourself warned.